Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, who am I? Not the labels, not the roles you play in life, but the essence of you. For most of us, the answer feels elusive. We live entangled in thoughts, regrets from the past, worries about the future, carrying the weight of 1,000 yesterdays and the burden of endless tomorrows. And yet, with all this thinking, there's a question we rarely ask. What about right now? Eckhart Tolle, a man who once stood on the brink of despair, discovered something so profound it shattered his perception of reality. One night, in the darkest corner of his mind, he thought, I can't live with myself anymore. But then, a realization hit. Who is this I? Who is the self I can't live with? In that moment, his world stopped. His thoughts fell silent, and for the first time he was fully present. What happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. He saw life, not through the lens of his restless mind, but through the clarity of presence. The simple chirping of a bird became a symphony. A pencil became a marvel of existence. Everything around him pulsed with aliveness, and he realized something that changed everything. The past is gone, the future doesn't exist, and the only place life unfolds is here and now. In this video, we're not just going to talk about what it means to live in the now. We're going to uncover the chains that keep you bound to your thoughts and show you how to step into the most powerful state of being, presence. By the end, you won't just understand the power of now, you'll feel it. You'll live it. So, take a breath. Not a casual breath, but a deep one. Feel it, and as you exhale, let go of the past, of the future. Because the journey to your truest self begins right now. This inner conflict is not unique to you. It's the hallmark of being human, of living in a world dominated by thought. Eckhart Tolle described it in one haunting realization: I cannot live with myself any longer. He questioned, if I cannot live with myself, am I one or two? Who is the I, and who is the self? This question opens a profound truth. Most of us are not truly living. We are existing as prisoners of our minds. Think about it. How many hours a day are spent replaying memories, wishing things had gone differently, or anxiously preparing for an uncertain future? Our minds drag us endlessly into the past or the future, but almost never let us rest here, in this moment. What is this self we feel we can't live with? It's the ego, the mental construct that tells us who we are. It's the voice in your head that identifies with achievements, failures, roles, and stories. It says, I am my job. I am my success. I am my pain. But here's the truth, that self is not real. Take a moment and observe your thoughts. Close your eyes if you'd like. Listen carefully. Who is doing the thinking? And more importantly, who is watching the thinker? That observer, that silent awareness, is the real you. It exists beyond the noise of the mind. But because we identify so strongly with the thinker, we become tangled in its endless stream of chatter. This identification creates suffering. The ego thrives on problems. It needs them to justify its existence. It tells you you're not happy now, but you will be once you achieve this or fix that. And so the chase begins. But here's the catch. No matter how much you achieve, how many problems you solve, the ego will always create new ones. It's like chasing the horizon, you never quite get there. This is why life can feel like a constant struggle. The ego convinces us that the next thing, a promotion, a relationship, or even enlightenment, will finally bring us peace. But peace cannot be found in the mind. Why? Because the mind is always moving, always seeking. Peace exists in the stillness beneath the mind, the stillness of presence. Eckhart Tolle discovered this stillness in a single, profound moment of awareness. When his mind stopped, the world became alive. What he realized is that the ego thrives on separation. It tells us we are isolated individuals, cut off from the world, and even from ourselves. But this is the great illusion. Beneath the surface of thought, there is no separation. There is only presence, only being. Now, this may feel abstract. So let's make it practical. I want you to imagine a moment where you felt completely at peace. Maybe it was watching a sunset, listening to the waves, or holding someone you love. In that moment, your mind was quiet, wasn't it? You weren't caught in the past or worrying about the future. You were just there. That's presence. But here's the incredible thing. You don't have to wait for special moments to feel it. Presence is always available. It's not something you create. It's something you uncover by stepping out of the mind. So, what's the first step? Start by observing the thinker. Don't try to stop your thoughts. That only gives them more power. Instead, watch them. Imagine your thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky. You don't need to chase them or push them away. Simply notice them. And in that noticing, you'll begin to feel a space, a stillness between you and the thought. That space is freedom. As you practice this, something remarkable happens. The ego's grip begins to loosen. You'll notice that the thoughts you once believed so deeply are just stories, narratives created by the mind. And in their place, you'll find the quiet, steady presence of your true self. The inner conflict between I and self is not a curse. It's an invitation to awaken to a deeper reality. You don't have to fight your mind, you simply have to see it for what it is. The moment you realize you are not your thoughts, but the awareness behind them, the war inside you begins to end. This is the first step toward freedom, becoming the observer of your thoughts. It's simple, but not easy. And yet, every moment you spend in awareness brings you closer to your true self, the self that is always at peace, always whole. And now, let's explore what it means to live in that presence, to awaken to the power of now. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly experienced the present moment? Not thinking about what's next or reliving what's already gone, but fully immersed in the now, aware of your breath, your surroundings, and the simple fact that you are alive. For most of us, it's been a long time. Maybe it's never happened. But why is that? Why is it so hard to just be? The answer lies in how we've been conditioned to live. From an early age, we're taught that life is a series of milestones, a race to accomplish, acquire, and achieve. We measure our worth by what we've done and what we plan to do, rarely stopping to ask, what about this moment? What about right now? And so, the present slips through our fingers, lost to the constant pull of past and future. But here's the truth. The present moment is all we ever have. The past is gone, existing only as memories in our minds. The future hasn't arrived, living only as a projection of our imagination. Everything we call life is happening here, now, in this eternal moment. Eckhart Tolle discovered this truth in a moment of profound stillness. After years of suffering under the weight of his thoughts, he realized that peace could never be found in the mind. Why? Because the mind is always elsewhere, replaying old stories or rehearsing new ones. But when he let go of his thoughts, he stepped into the present. And in that moment, everything changed. The world didn't become different, he did. The soft light of dawn filtering through the curtains, the chirping of a bird, the feel of the air in the room, all of it became alive. What he experienced wasn't just the absence of thought, it was the presence of life itself. You might be wondering, how do I experience that? How do I step into the now? The answer is simple but profound, by shifting your attention. Most of us are so lost in our thoughts that we barely notice the world around us. But the present moment is always calling us. It's in the rhythm of your breath, the sensation of your feet on the ground, the sound of the wind in the trees. Let's try something together. Wherever you are, pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Feel the air as it moves into your lungs and out again. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Now, bring your attention to your surroundings. What do you hear? What do you feel? Don't analyze it, just notice. This is the doorway to the present moment. It's not something you need to create. It's always here, waiting for you to notice it. But to truly awaken to the now, you must understand one crucial thing. The mind will resist. It's been in control for so long that it doesn't want to let go. It will tell you, this is boring. This isn't enough. What's next? But don't listen. Instead, become the observer. Watch your thoughts without judgment, like clouds passing through the sky. As you practice this, you'll start to notice something extraordinary. A space opens up between you and your thoughts. In that space, there's peace. You'll realize that you are not your mind, not the endless chatter in your head. You are the awareness behind it. The still, unchanging presence that has always been there. This presence is the key to everything. It's where creativity flows, where joy arises, where life becomes vibrant and full. Think about the most beautiful moments in your life, the times you felt truly alive. Maybe it was watching a sunset, listening to your favorite song, or holding a loved one. In those moments, your mind was still. You weren't thinking, you were being. That's the power of now. Now, let's take this a step further. Presence isn't just about enjoying the good moments. It's about being fully alive, even in the mundane. Washing your hands, walking up the stairs, sitting in traffic, these aren't just things to get through. They're opportunities to practice presence. The next time you wash your hands, try this. Feel the water on your skin. Notice the temperature, the sensation, the sound of it flowing. Or when you walk, pay attention to the rhythm of your steps, the way your feet connect with the ground. These simple acts, done with full awareness, become gateways to the now. And here's the magic. The more you practice presence, the more it becomes your natural state. You'll start to notice things you've never seen before. The way light dances on a surface, the subtle sound of the world around you. Life will feel richer, fuller, more alive. But presence isn't just about what you gain, it's also about what you let go of. When you're truly in the now, the worries of the past and the fears of the future lose their grip. You'll see them for what they are, stories created by the mind. And in their place, you'll find peace. Eckhart Tolle said it best. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. This doesn't mean you stop planning or thinking altogether. It means you stop living in those thoughts and start living in reality. The reality of this moment. Presence isn't something you achieve overnight. It's a practice, a journey. But every moment you spend in awareness brings you closer to your true self. And that self is not bound by the past or worried about the future. It is here, now, alive and free. Have you ever felt an inexplicable heaviness inside you? A weight you can't explain, an ache that seems to linger, no matter how good your life may appear on the surface? Maybe it's triggered by a situation, a memory, or even nothing at all. It rises suddenly, pulling you into a storm of negative thoughts and emotions. That heaviness, that storm, is what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body. The pain body is the invisible, emotional residue of all the suffering you've experienced in your life. It's the part of you that carries the weight of past hurts, fears, and traumas. But here's the thing, the pain body isn't just a passive memory. It's alive, feeding off your negative emotions and growing stronger each time you identify with it. Think of it like this. The pain body is like a sleeping beast within you, dormant most of the time, but always waiting for the right moment to awaken. It might stir when someone says something that hurts your feelings, when you face a difficult challenge, or even during quiet moments of self-reflection. Once awakened, it takes over. You find yourself reacting intensely, saying or doing things that feel out of character. And afterward you might wonder, what came over me? The answer is simple yet profound. It wasn't you, it was the pain body. Let's take a moment to understand how the pain body operates. It thrives on pain, both yours and others. When it awakens, it hijacks your thoughts, creating stories that justify its existence. It might tell you you're not good enough, or they've wronged you, you should be angry. These thoughts aren't random. They're carefully crafted by the pain body to provoke an emotional reaction, to feed on the very energy it creates. But here's the critical truth. The pain body only has power over you when you are unaware of it. Awareness is its kryptonite. Eckhart Tolle teaches that the first step to freeing yourself from the pain body is simply to recognize it. The next time you feel that heaviness rising, pause. Don't resist it and don't react. Instead, observe it. Notice how it feels in your body, the tightness in your chest, the clenching of your stomach, the heat of anger, or the chill of fear. And here's the key: don't judge it. Don't try to push it away or label it as bad. Simply allow it to be. In doing so, you create a space between yourself and the pain body. That space is awareness, and in that awareness, the pain body begins to lose its grip. This might sound easier said than done. After all, the pain body is powerful, and it doesn't let go without a fight. But every moment you spend observing it, rather than identifying with it, weakens its hold. You'll start to notice that the thoughts it feeds you are just that, thoughts, not truths. For example, if your pain body tells you you're a failure, you might feel a surge of sadness or frustration. But instead of believing it, step back and ask yourself, who is hearing this thought? Who is watching this emotion? That watcher is your true self, the part of you that exists beyond the pain body, beyond the mind. Let's look at an example. Imagine you're in an argument with someone close to you. They say something hurtful, and suddenly your pain body awakens. You feel a rush of anger, and before you know it, you're saying things you don't mean, escalating the conflict. This is the pain body in action. It thrives on conflict and negativity. But what if, in that moment, you paused? What if, instead of reacting, you took a deep breath and noticed the anger rising within you? You might say to yourself, this is my pain body. It wants to react, but I don't have to. In that moment, you reclaim your power. The pain body cannot control you when you are fully present. One of the most transformative realizations Eckhart Tolle shares is that the pain body is not your enemy. It's a part of you that has been wounded, carrying the echoes of past suffering. And like any wounded part, it needs compassion, not rejection. When you observe the pain body without judgment, you're not just weakening it, you're healing it. This process of observation and acceptance isn't just about dissolving the pain body. It's about reconnecting with your true self. Beneath the layers of pain and thought lies a vast, unshakable stillness, the essence of who you are. When you touch that stillness, you realize that no pain, no past trauma can define you. So, how do you integrate this practice into your daily life? Start small. The next time you feel triggered, whether it's frustration, sadness, or fear, pause. Take a deep breath and bring your attention to the physical sensations in your body. What do you feel? Where do you feel it? Don't analyze it and don't try to change it. Just notice. As you practice this, you'll begin to notice a shift. The pain body, which once seemed overwhelming, will start to lose its intensity, and in its place you'll find a quiet, steady presence, a sense of peace that has been there all along, waiting for you to uncover it. Eckhart Tolle described this process as transmutation. The pain body, when observed with awareness, transforms into consciousness itself. It's like a flame consuming the fuel of pain and burning brighter with each moment of presence. This is the alchemy of the inner self, the transformation of suffering into liberation. And as you continue this practice, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice the pain body not just in yourself but in others. You'll see it in the anger of a co-worker, the sadness of a friend, or the frustration of a stranger. And instead of reacting, you'll meet it with compassion. This is how awareness spreads, how one conscious being can help awaken another. The journey of freeing yourself from the pain body isn't always easy. It requires patience, courage, and a willingness to face the discomfort within you. But the rewards are profound. With each step, you'll feel lighter, freer, and more connected to the present moment. Think about how much of your life is spent in time. Not in the present, but in the past or future. You replay old memories, wishing you could change what happened. Or you project yourself into the future, imagining what could go wrong, what you need to do, or what might finally make you happy. But here's the question Eckhart Tolle asks: what is this thing we call time? And why does it have such a hold on us? Time, as we understand it, is a mental construct. It's not something you can touch, hold, or measure with your senses. The past is nothing more than a collection of memories stored in your mind. The future is nothing but an imagined reality, a projection of your thoughts. And yet, we live as though time is the most real thing in our lives. This is where the ego comes in. The ego is deeply tied to time because it cannot exist without it. It needs the past to define who you are, a collection of stories, labels, and experiences that shape your identity. And it needs the future to sustain itself, promising you happiness, success, or fulfillment if only you can achieve what it sets before you. But here's the illusion. The ego convinces you that the present is never enough. It tells you that your happiness lies somewhere else, in a better job, a new relationship, or the resolution of your problems. And so, you live in a constant state of striving, always reaching for something that never quite arrives. Have you ever noticed how fleeting your victories feel? You achieve a goal, and for a moment, there's satisfaction. But almost immediately, the ego moves the finish line. It says, what's next? What else can I achieve? This is the trap of time, the endless cycle of wanting, achieving, and wanting again. Eckhart Tolle calls this the illusion of control. We believe that by planning, worrying, and working harder, we can control our future and fix our past. But the truth is, life is happening now. The more we live in the mental constructs of past and future, the more we miss the only reality there is, this moment. Let's try an experiment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is wrong with this moment right now? Not 5 minutes ago, not 5 minutes from now, just this moment. Most of the time, you'll realize that nothing is wrong. The problems, the anxieties, the regrets, they're all tied to a time that doesn't exist. The present moment, in its simplicity, is free of suffering. But the ego resists this truth. It doesn't want to let go of time because time is its lifeblood. It thrives on keeping you trapped in a state of dissatisfaction, convincing you that salvation lies just around the corner. But salvation is not in the future. It's here, in the now. Let me share a metaphor. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase everywhere you go. This suitcase is filled with your past regrets and future anxieties. It weighs you down, making every step harder. Now imagine setting it down, even just for a moment. That's what living in the now feels like. Freedom from the weight of time. So how do we step out of time? The first step is to notice how deeply you are entangled in it. Pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day. How often are they about something that has already happened or something that hasn't yet occurred? This awareness is powerful because it allows you to see the patterns of your mind without being controlled by them. When you catch yourself ruminating on the past or worrying about the future, gently bring yourself back to the present. You might focus on your breath, the sensation of your body, or the sights and sounds around you. This isn't about ignoring time entirely. Practical matters require some use of time. planning your day, setting goals, or remembering important lessons. But the key is not to live in time. Use time when needed, but don't let it dominate your existence. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice something extraordinary. Life begins to feel lighter. The urgency, the pressure, the constant sense of not enough, it starts to dissolve. You'll realize that the present moment is not only enough, it's abundant. It's alive with possibilities, joy, and peace. And this brings us to one of Eckhart Tolle's most profound teachings, the realization that all of life happens in the now. The past is just a memory of a former now. The future is only an imagined now. The only reality you will ever experience is this moment. This understanding changes everything. It frees you from the tyranny of the ego and the illusion of control. You no longer need to fix your past or secure your future. Instead, you can fully engage with life as it unfolds. Let me ask you, how would your life change if you lived this way? What if you could let go of the endless striving and simply be present with what is? Imagine the peace, the clarity, the joy that would arise. Living in the now doesn't mean you stop growing or pursuing your dreams. It means you approach life from a place of presence rather than fear or lack. You take action not because you're trying to escape the present, but because you're fully engaged with it. This is the difference between living and merely existing. When you live in the now, each moment becomes a gift, a chance to connect with yourself, others, and the world around you. You no longer need to chase happiness because you realize it's already here, waiting for you to notice it. Eckhart Tolle reminds us that this is not a distant goal, it's available to you right now. All it takes is a willingness to let go of time, to stop living in the stories of your mind, and start living in the reality of this moment. So, the next time you find yourself lost in thought, worrying about what might be or regretting what was, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself what is real right now. Feel the stillness, the presence, the aliveness of this moment. This is the power of stepping out of time. It's not about escaping your responsibilities or ignoring your goals. It's about finding the balance between using time when necessary and living fully in the now. What if I told you that the secret to a fulfilled, peaceful, and meaningful life isn't something you have to find or earn? It's not hidden in your next achievement or waiting somewhere in the future. It's right here, right now, in the eternal present moment. The now is not just where life happens, it is life itself. But living in the now is more than a practice. It's a shift in consciousness, a way of being that transforms everything. When you fully embrace the now, the noise of the mind fades, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Washing your hands isn't just a task, it's a symphony of sensations. The sunlight filtering through your window becomes a masterpiece of light and shadow. Even the simple act of breathing feels like a gift. The eternal now isn't about what you're doing, it's about how you're being. And here's the truth, presence doesn't mean your external circumstances will suddenly change. What changes is your relationship to those circumstances. Let's face it, life isn't always easy. There are challenges, uncertainties, and pain. But when you live in the now, you discover something incredible. Your peace is no longer tied to what's happening around you. It arises from within, independent of external events. Even in the midst of difficulty, there's a stillness, a strength that cannot be shaken. Imagine facing a tough situation, an argument, a failure, or a moment of fear. The mind wants to spiral, to replay what happened or imagine what could go wrong. But instead of being swept away, you take a deep breath and anchor yourself in the now. You feel your body, hear the sounds around you, and notice your thoughts without judgment. In that moment, the storm within you begins to calm. This is the power of living in the now. It doesn't mean you avoid problems or pretend they don't exist. It means you face them with clarity and presence, unburdened by the weight of past regrets or future fears. And often, you'll find that many problems dissolve when approached from this place of stillness. But how do we bring this into our daily lives? Eckhart Tolle offers simple yet profound practices to help us anchor in the now. One of the most powerful is mindfulness, bringing full attention to whatever you're doing, no matter how mundane. For example, the next time you drink a cup of tea, don't rush through it. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. Smell the aroma. Taste each sip as if it's the first time you've ever tasted tea. This is presence in action. Another practice is pausing throughout the day to reconnect with your breath. Right now, take a moment to feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. This simple act brings you back to the present, grounding you in the reality of this moment. Over time, these small moments of presence add up. They create a ripple effect, transforming how you experience life. You'll find yourself less reactive, more patient, and more open to the beauty of the world around you. And here's the deeper truth. Living in the now isn't about achieving a state of perfection. It's not about never having a negative thought or feeling. It's about remembering that beneath the noise of the mind, there's a deeper stillness that is always accessible. That stillness is who you truly are. When you live in the now, you realize that life is not something you need to fix or improve. It's something to be experienced. Each moment, whether joyful or challenging, becomes an opportunity to connect with your true self. Eckhart Tolle calls this the eternal now because it's always here. The present moment doesn't come and go. It's we who come and go, caught in the currents of thought and time. But the now remains, a constant, timeless presence. And when you align with it, you tap into the infinite potential of life itself. So I invite you to begin today. Start small. Pause right now and feel your breath. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, the life within you. Let go of the past and the future, even just for a moment. And in that moment, you'll find everything you've been searching for. Thank you for taking this time to explore the power of now. If this message resonates with you, carry it forward. Share it, live it, and most importantly, experience it. Because the present moment is not just where life happens, it's where you truly exist.